So, onto your back. As you come onto your back, if it would feel good, hug your knees into your chest, roll around a little bit. Might feel good to massage your low back by taking your knees in your hands and drawing some circles with your knees. You kind of just roll around the sacrum. Might feel good in your shoulders to do that. If you're rolling one direction, switch it up, go the other direction. And then bringing the soles of the feet to the floor, knock your knees together, walk your feet out a little bit wider. Take your hands and arms and place them anywhere that would feel good. Sometimes it feels good to me to actually put my hands on my body. Could be one on your chest, one on your belly. If you've laid your hands on your body, then you can just start to notice movement in the body as you breathe. You can have your eyes open or your eyes closed. As I'm lying here this morning, what comes to mind for me is I just want to express the gratitude that I have for affording me a life where I can actually just relax and take a few calming breaths. It's truly a privilege and a luxury. So as you're here on your back, I'm going to take you through a guided sensory meditation. So you don't need to change the position of your body at all. If your eyes are closed, I'm going to have you blink them open. And this meditation is called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So to get started, I'm going to have you bring your awareness to 5 things in the room around you that you can see. And as you see them, just label what they are. Don't get attached to it. Label it and move on to the next thing. 5 things that you can see. And now I'm going to have you bring your awareness to 4 things that you can hear. Way off in the distance or right up close, may even be your own breathing that you hear. Label 4 things that you can hear. And now bringing your awareness to your sense of feeling and touch. So that could be the weight of your body, on whatever surface you're lying on. It could be the air around you in the room, it could be something else. 3 things that you can feel. And it gets a little more challenging as we move down the line. Now, I want you to bring awareness to your sense of smell. Can you label 2 things that you can smell? And then lastly, bringing your awareness to your sense of taste. What's one thing that you can taste? Excellent. If you've closed your eyes, you might blink them open. Start to bring the soles of the feet and your legs into a neutral position. So if the knees are knocked together, bring the legs into a neutral position. My knees are about hip distance apart. My feet are about hip distance apart. So I'm reading this really great book. Actually, I'm listening to it right now. It's by Sanjay Gupta. It's a new book that he's written on brain health. And so he talks about, the 5 senses of the body that we've learned in science. And then there are, many other senses that we don't talk about in science class, but they exist. So this proprioception is understanding where your body is in space or how you're moving a particular body part. We actually incorporate that quite a lot in our yoga classes. You probably heard me refer to that frequently. But it's really just a great way to make that mind-body connection. So just start by feeling the soles of your feet on the floor. Just notice the weight in the feet. And then you're going to extend your left leg out straight so that the heel is resting on the floor. And you're going to start to draw the right knee in toward your right shoulder. And then you're going to take that leg bone and you're going to move it in the socket. You might draw some imaginary circles as you have a hold of that leg in whatever fashion it feels good. Just roll it around a little bit. I'm going one direction, and then I'm going to switch and go the other direction. So your sense of proprioception. And then I might just squeeze and hold it a little bit. I'm creating a little bit of compression, a little bit of a pump here for our lymph system. And now I'm going to extend that bent leg out so it's straighter and then lower it all the way down to the ground. And then bringing the soles of both feet back to the floor. Just taking a pause there for a moment. Noticing the weight underneath the feet again. Extending my right leg out straight, drawing my left knee in. And then articulating that leg bone in the socket. And maybe switching the direction. And then maybe a little static hold and squeeze. And then I'm going to extend and lower. Bringing the soles of both feet back to the floor again. Simultaneously, I'm going to lift both feet away from the floor and hug both knees in towards my chest. And take your leg bones into a position that feels good to you here, right? It may be that your knees splay wide. It could be that they're close together. Just notice how it feels with the leg bones in different positions. Might feel good to articulate through your ankles. Roll those feet around a little bit. I'm going to take my hands, place them underneath my sacrum, and then I'm going to extend my legs out straight, but they're not going to be really straight and they're not going to be high up in the air. But there's going to be a little added load as I lower, nice and slow, all the way down. Excellent. Bringing the soles of both feet back to the floor again. So we're going to start off our class with a little low back twist. For my low back twist, I like to bring the floor up a little bit to minimize the twist. If you're not sure if you like a lot of twist in your back, just have something off to the right of your right thigh. It could be a throw pillow or two, could be a block, could be a stack of books. Then you're going to lift your left foot away from the floor, externally rotate that leg as you place left ankle on top of your right knee. From here, you're going to allow your pelvis to start to roll over to the right as that right thigh gets closer to the surface, either the floor or a block or a bolster. And the left foot is just along for the ride. I like to have my left knee pointing up toward the ceiling. You don't have to. It might feel better to allow it to drop towards your right shoulder. And if you're not sure about whether or not to use that prop, you could take the prop away if you've got it. See how it feels in your low back and hang out there in your low back twist. If you want to add a little twist to your neck, you can take your gaze over to your left, over your left arm, your left shoulder. And then take a little scan. Notice if you're breathing with ease. Right? Can you keep your belly soft in your twist? And if not, that's information. Come back to a neutral position, maybe grab another prop, minimize that twist, or don't twist at all. You could come right back here into a neutral position with that left leg externally rotated, ankle on the knee, and hang out right there. So when I'm in these poses for these long hold times, if it's comfortable to take my hand to my belly, it's just a place where I can direct my attention to my breath. We'll be here for about another 30 seconds. If you've taken your gaze over to the left, bring your head back into a neutral position. Take a pause there. And then catch your next exhale breath to bring your pelvis and your legs back to neutral. Bring the sole of your left foot to the floor. It may feel good to windshield wiper the knees side to side. Again, that's just massaging your low back. After that twist, it might feel good. And then I'm going to move my prop over to the outside of my left thigh. There we go, with the soles of both feet on your mat. Pick up your right foot away from the floor. Externally rotate that leg. Place your right ankle on top of your left knee. And then as you move into your twist, just stay aware of how your low back feels. Stopping any way along that continuum before there's any sensation. Meaning, it's okay to have a little sensation, but it should not be sensational. I always like to use my breath as a gauge. So if I were to come into this low back twist and I didn't have a prop underneath my left thigh, I might be holding my breath a little bit, which would mean that there could be some tension in my low back that's a little uncomfortable. I might be contracting muscles to protect my low back. So hopefully that makes sense. If that's happening to you, come back to neutral. Bring that surface up a little bit higher and then twist, or come out of the twist completely. And then if you want to add twist to the neck, gaze over to the right. You direct your attention back to your breath for the last 30 seconds. Bring your head back to neutral so there's no twist in your neck. Take a pause. And then catch your next exhalation to bring the pelvis and your legs back to neutral. After these yin poses, if a little counter movement would feel good, take some time to move around a little bit. So after a little bit of movement, bringing the soles of the feet back to the mat. I know already that I like to have a little something on the outside of each thigh for my butterfly. So if you're not sure, you might grab a couple of pillows and place them right there next to your hips, your thighs. Start to walk your feet a little bit closer together. Maybe the toes are touching. And then you're going to open your legs like a book for this reclined butterfly. And as you open your legs like a book, get curious about how it feels if your heels are tucked in tight to your groin. And then slide them away from your groin so that diamond shape gets a little longer. And see how that feels. I'm not saying that one way is better than the other. I just want you to be curious. Like, what's the optimum position, the optimum angle behind the knees for you in this reclined butterfly? And again, if it feels good, you want to bring hands to your body. To feel yourself breathe, you can lay your hands on your chest and your belly. Or you could have them down by your side, whatever feels good. Here in these long held poses, you have time. If you wanted to come back to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 meditation, you could do that. So it's 5 with the eyes, 4 with the nose, 3 with the touch. I got that wrong. Back up. Rewind. 5 with the eyes, 4 with the ears, 3 with the touch, 2 with the nose, 1 with the taste. We'll be here for one more minute. To come out of this, you might take your hands to the outsides of your thighs. Use a little bit of arm strength and your leg strength to bring your knees back together. I'm going to take you into a reclined twist. You have a version of a reclined twist that you want to do, be my guest. You can take off on your own and do your reclined twist. If you want to follow my lead, excuse me, what I know about myself is that I don't have a lot of twist in my thoracic spine. So the thoracic spine is the middle part of your spine. Because I don't have a lot of twist there, I'm working on it. It's getting better, it's changing. I'm gonna take a prop and place it here on the left side of me. The top of my prop, the top of my pillow is about the height of my shoulder. So if you want to grab a prop, grab a pillow, put it right there to your left at about the height of the shoulder, and then it goes down to about my hips. Now I'm gonna roll onto my side. Excuse me, you guys, I'm a little froggy this morning. I know that I like a little something underneath my head to keep my neck comfortable. And here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Oftentimes when we roll onto our side, we get curled up into this fetal position. What I want you to get curious about is where would you need to place your bottom shoulder so that your spine is neutral, right? So that your shoulders and your hips are in line. And then I like to take a little something and place it in between my knees. Once you have your shoulders, your hips, your knees, your ankles all stacked up, you're going to take your hand to your ribs and you're going to start to roll your ribs back so that your heart is now directed up toward the ceiling and you're in a reclined twist. I like to rest my top hand right there on my rib cage or my belly. Elbow is back behind me a little bit. Take the twist into your neck, into any position that feels just right for you. Once you have yourself all set up in your twist, get curious about your breath. Are you breathing from the chest up? And if so, can you relax your belly so that you can breathe into your belly a bit? You might take a little scan. Notice if any tension in your hands. And if you do, wiggle your fingers around. If you have any tension in your feet, wiggle your toes around. If you have any tension in your jaw, give yourself a little smile. You're at this halfway point. Just check in with the body again. If it's asking for any adjustments, adjust a little bit. And then invite your awareness back to your breath. You appreciated that mindfulness practice of focusing on your breath. We'll be here for 1 more minute. Maybe you count your breaths. So to come out of this, you're going to reverse back the way you came in. So start to roll toward your knees as you stack up your shoulders. And take a pause there. And then you're going to get yourself situated so that you can do the other side however you want. If you have props, move them out of the way. I'm simply going to come onto my back. Move that one prop over to the right. So you can see it a little bit better here. I've got pillow sort of at the height of my shoulder. Got my other pillow for in between my knees down here at my left towards my legs. And I'm going to start to roll onto my left side, stacking up shoulders, hips, knees, ankles. My knees are bent. And then again, see if you can get your spine into a neutral position. It may mean that you have to move your top shoulder back a little bit. And then once you've stacked everything up, take your hand to your ribs and direct your ribs to roll back, hard up to the ceiling. There we go. Bringing awareness to your hands and your fingers. Noticing if you're holding or gripping with any tension there. If you are, wiggle them around. Bring awareness to your toes. Bring awareness to your jaw, your tongue. And then notice your breathing pattern. If you want to change it and slow it down a little bit, deepen it, chances are you have the ability to do that. I had somebody tell me one time that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 meditation was something that they learned to manage their panic attacks. So it's just another tool for your pouch. You notice that you're having a little bit of anxiety. It's a really great grounding practice. And here's the thing about practices like that. One, if you don't remember exactly the 5 for the eyes and, don't worry about that. If you're just going through any process with your senses, that is incredibly grounding. And as it gets more challenging, like if you can't hear 4 different things, try not to get frustrated. I can just hear 3 things. It's just about the process. It's not about the results, as is what I know about most of life, right? It's not about the end result. So here at this halfway point, do a little scan. What I'm noticing about myself is that twist into my neck to the right doesn't feel so great anymore. So I'm going to bring my head a little bit more into a neutral position. We'll be here for one more minute. Roll back towards your knees. Stack up your shoulders, your hips, your knees, your ankles, and take a pause there. And then when you're ready, you're going to transition onto your back. We'll all meet on our back. We're going to come full circle here. So as you come onto your back, it might feel good to hug both knees into your chest. After that twist, sometimes feels good to me to kind of stretch out my low back. And then I'm going to bring the soles of the feet back to the floor, extending one leg out straight, hugging the other knee in. Maybe a little articulation through the joints on that leg, either through the ankle, through the hip, might even be through the knee. And then when you're ready, switch it up, do that on the other side. And then bringing the soles of both feet back to the floor. We're going to move into a little bridge pose. Before I give you options to either do an extension bridge or legs up the imaginary wall. So before you come into your bridge, if you need to, grab a prop. And what I mean by that is if you have a block, you could grab a block, or it could be a short stack of books. It could even be your throw pillow. Have that, and hands reach away. And then bring the soles of both feet back to the floor, just noticing weight in the feet. Notice the position of your legs. I have my arms down by my side. They're nice and relaxed. My belly's relaxed. I'm going to use the strength of my legs and my glutes to lift the load of my hips and my back ribs away from the floor into bridge. And what I notice is in my bridge, I don't want my head elevated like it was before, so I removed that little pillow that I had there. I want you to have a nice curve in your cervical spine, meaning your chin is not tucked close to your chest. With my hips in this elevated position, I'm now going to shimmy whatever prop you want to use underneath your sacrum, that flat bone there in between your hips. And here are your options. You could stay right here in a supported bridge. If you think it would feel good to do a little extension into the front of your hip flexors, you could do one leg at a time, keeping the sole of one foot on the floor. Extend the other leg out straight with that heel touching the mat. hang out there. For some of you, it might feel good to do both legs at once. You could always try it. For me, the key to that is if I have just a little bit of elevation underneath my heels, so as to minimize the curve there at my low back. That's kind of the secret for me. I'm going to do both legs at once. If you're doing one leg at a time, I came back to one leg at a time because that was just a little too much for my low back with both legs extended. I'll let you know when to switch to the other side. I'm now going to switch to the other leg, bring the sole of that foot to the floor, extending the other leg out straight. If you spend a lot of time sitting, little extension into the front of the hip flexors right here can feel really good. But if you spend time sitting, you might notice that it's bound up that psoas muscle, and it can make the low back a little too sensitive. Couple more breaths for me here. Bringing the soles of both feet to the floor. With that support underneath my sacrum, I'm now going to take my legs up an imaginary wall. So the soles of the feet up toward the ceiling, for legs up the imaginary wall. And here's the key for your legs up the imaginary wall. If you don't have a little bit of a tilt in your pelvis, you might notice that it takes too much effort to hold the legs in that position. They might even be quivering a little bit. That's not unusual. If that's happening to you, I'm going to have you bring the soles of the feet back to the floor and play around with the placement of that prop that's underneath the sacrum. So you might even move it a little bit closer to your heels and try it again. So what I'm looking for in the placement of that prop is that it actually tilts my pelvis ever so slightly, that my feet start to come over my head a little bit more. There's a little more of an angle here between the front of my leg bone and my torso so that gravity can take over. And it's just like these legs are sinking into the hips. You can always do one leg at a time too. I'll let you know when we're halfway through. So if that feels better for you, by all means, have the sole of one foot on the floor with one leg lifted. If you're doing one leg at a time, go ahead and switch to the other leg. If you are perfectly happy in that position for Shavasana, you don't have to move an inch. I'm going to bring myself out of that position and get more comfortable. I'm going to bring the pillow back under my head. You might have a pillow or a prop underneath your knees. You could come onto your side. You could roll onto your belly. What would be a really comfortable place to put your body? Yeah, grab a blanket. Start to relax your eyes, your temples, your jaw. You might even relax your tongue away from the roof of your mouth. What would it mean to relax your throat, your shoulders, your upper arms, your elbows, your lower arms and your wrists? Relax your hands, your fingers. What would it mean to relax your torso, your heart, your chest, your belly, your back? Relax your pelvis, your pelvic floor, your hips, your upper legs, your knees, your lower legs, your ankles, your feet, your toes. How does it feel to relax your entire body? How does it feel to allow that other piece of you, the observer, your spirit, whatever you refer to it as, how does it feel to allow that piece of you to feel light? When you're ready to come back into your space, do it slowly and subtly. Little movements, deeper breath, maybe bigger movements, a big stretchy yawn or a sigh. Maybe you take that sense of calm, groundedness, and that sense of light and levity with you into your day. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste.